Gebet an.
Dear Father in heaven,
Lieber Vater im Himmel,
thank you for your grace and your care and your love that you showed us.
danke für deinen Schutz und deine Fürsorge und für deinen Reichtum, die du uns gezeigt hast.
I thank you also now that we are still able to gather together and study your word.
Und ich danke dir, dass wir immer noch imstande sind, hier zusammenzukommen, um dein Wort zu studieren.
I'm asking upon your blessings
Und ich bitte um deine Segnungen
and I want to ask you, Father, to help us to retain the things that are going to be presented.
und ich bitte, lieber Vater, dass du uns hilfst, die Sachen beizubehalten, zu erinnern, das, was vorgetragen wird.
Help us to understand a little bit more Daniel 11.
Say again, Marius, please.
Help us to understand a little bit more Daniel 11.
Also hilft uns ein bisschen mehr über Daniel 11 zu verstehen
And help us to be blessed by it.
und hilft uns, dass wir dabei gesegnet werden.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesu Namen. Amen.
Okay, so good evening once more,
So, ein weiteres Mal guten Abend.
and yeah, we will look at Daniel 11 a little bit this
Und
evening.
wir werden heute Abend Daniel 11 etwa anschauen,
So let's go, but first let's start in Daniel 10.
aber wir fangen in Daniel 10 an.
And let's read verse 1.
Vers 1.
Daniel 10 verse 1.
Daniel 10, Vers 1.
Says, in the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision. Okay, so which year are we?
So, in welchem Jahr sind wir?
Where is it on our line in the
Und wo
line
ist
above? Yeah.
das
Top.
auf unserer Linie?
536.
Yes,
536,
It's the first decree of Cyrus,
der
right?
erste Dekret von Kyros.
And this would be on this top line where?
Und auf der obigen Linie, wo wäre das?
Right here.
Gerade hier, finale Untersuchung.
Okay. So, and what happened here to Daniel in this year?
Und in diesem Jahr, was ist mit Daniel geschehen?
Revelation.
Yes, he received a revelation and he understood a thing, right?
So, er
Or
erhielt
understood the vision here.
eine Offenbarung und er hat Verständnis über das Vision.
Okay, and what vision is he speaking about?
Und über welche Vision spricht er?
Daniel 11, right?
Also, Daniel.
Yes.
Also Daniel 11.
Okay, so right here, therefore, we will get a revelation of Daniel 11.
So, und gerade hier werden wir eine Offenbarung über Daniel 11 erhalten.
Daniel 11. Okay, and in some sense, right, this is a parallel here to midnight.
Und im gewissen Sinne, das ist ein Parallel hier zur Mitternacht.
So here we will also receive a revelation and also then to some degree we obtain an better understanding of Daniel 11.
So, hier werden wir auch eine gewisse Offenbarung, ein besseres Verständnis über Daniel 11 erhalten.
Yes. Okay, so we're shortly before this time, we're in this time of the 10, right?
Und wir sind kurz vor dieser Zeit, wir sind in dieser Zeit der 10 hier.
Okay, and we understand when we go into this fractal here,
Und wenn wir in diese 10 hineingehen, diesen Fraktal hier unten,
Twice the size of the 10.
this would be... Sorry?
The 10 and the line
Ah,
has to be twice the size.
Okay.
Something like that one. The fractal has to be twice as big
Why?
because it's on the line below. Can't be the same size.
Because the midnight cry would be here, right?
Der Mitternachtsruf wäre denn hier sein
The 10's at the end there.
Yes, the tendency.
und der 10 ist da am Ende.
So it would be also when you take this in parallel, this is at here. Okay.
So, das hier ist das.
But I don't want to confuse the issues, you know.
Aber
Okay.
ich möchte jetzt keine Verwirrung reinbringen.
So this 10 is just parallel to this 10. Okay.
Diese 10 ist noch parallel mit dieser
We
10.
don't need to now get spatially challenged. Okay.
Wir müssen jetzt nicht auf den Raum verwirrt werden.
Okay. So we have here July 25th,
Also hier haben wir 25. Juli,
and then we have here November 7th, right?
hier haben wir 7. November
And this is still to be determined what date this will be.
und das bleibt noch offen, was das genannt wird.
Okay. And when we stretch out the 10, this would be like this, right?
Und wenn wir diese 10 ausdehnen, das wäre dann dies hier.
So basically, here at the end, you also receive this revelation of Daniel 11.
So hier am Ende erhält man auch diese Offenbarung von Daniel 11.
At least to some measure.
Gewissen Maß.
But this is also a parallel to this here, right?
Aber das ist auch eine Parallel zu diesem Fraktal hier.
So therefore, here we also will obtain a certain revelation in principle.
So hier können wir im Prinzip eine gewisse Offenbarung über Daniel 11 erhalten.
So, because what is going on in here?
Denn was findet hierin statt?
What is going on at the moment?
Was findet gerade statt?
The Lord's give us a revelation.
Yes, but
It's the
what is Daniel 11 all about?
So, worüber handelt sich
War
Daniel
between
11?
the North
War
and
between
South.
the
Yes,
North
the
and
war
South.
between the north and south.
Also ein
Okay.
Krieg zwischen Norden und Süden.
And is there a war going on at the moment?
Gibt es einen
Yes,
Krieg zwischen
okay.
Norden und Süden gerade jetzt?
Okay, so the Lord will somehow explain to us more fully what happened in this time here when we come there.
Also der Herr wird uns auf völligere Weise erklären, was hier drin stattgefunden ist, wenn wir hier ankommen.
Okay, so but this revelation will be smaller compared to this revelation,
Aber
which
diese
is
Offenbarung
this
hier
fractal here.
wird geringer sein oder kleiner sein als diese Offenbarung hier, was diese Offenbarung ist.
And this revelation obviously will be even bigger than this one.
Und
Okay.
diese Offenbarung hier wird natürlich viel größer sein als
the
diese.
light just increases.
Yes.
Also das Licht nimmt zu.
Okay, but nonetheless, okay,
Aber nichtsdestotrotz,
so the Lord wants to give us here some measure of understanding of it.
der
Okay?
Herr möchte uns hier eine gewisse Maß des Verständnisses über Daniel 11 geben.
And what is poured out here?
Was wird hier ausgegossen?
The lettering, right?
Spätregen.
So, therefore, in some sense, when you come here, this is also in principle fulfilled.
So,
Right?
wenn du hier ankommst, in gewisser Weise, im Prinzip, das wird auch erfüllt.
Something has to happen.
So,
Yes.
irgendetwas muss demgemäß geschehen.
So it's not the full outpouring of the letter rain as it would be here, but there's an outpouring of the Spirit here.
Also es ist nicht der volle Ausgießung des Heiligen Geistes, wie es hier am Ende sein wird, aber es ist eine gewisse
But
Maß.
it's going to be based upon a prediction coming true.
Yes.
Es muss basierend auf einer Vorhersage, der zutrifft.
And
Geschehen.
what is the principle? You can only receive the letter rain if you receive the.
Und das Prinzip ist, du kannst den Spätregen nur erhalten, wenn du den Frühregen erhalten hast.
Okay. Therefore, if the latter rain contains a revelation of Daniel 11,
So deswegen, wenn der Spätregen beinhaltet eine Offenbarung über Daniel 11,
the former rain must give you already
Some principle.
some principles in order then to obtain this revelation.
der Frühregen muss dich einige Prinzipien festlegen, so dass du imstande bist, diese Offenbarung über Daniel 11 zu erhalten.
Okay, and therefore, at least according to my mind, we should spend some time in Daniel 11 also just to already familiarize ourselves with it. Okay.
Deswegen, zumindest wie meine Gedanken funktioniert, ist, wir sollten jetzt Zeit in Daniel 11 verbringen, um uns bekannt zu machen, zumindest mit Daniel 11.
Okay. And this is what we will start this evening.
Und das ist das, was wir heute Abend anfangen.
I mean, last time, a few days ago, we looked at Laodice and Bernice.
So,
Right?
vor ein paar Tagen haben wir Laodice und Bernice angeschaut.
You still can remember?
Konntet
Yes.
ihr erinnern?
Yes. Where basically Laodice is this woman of the north,
Wo Laodice ist diese Frau aus dem Norden.
and let's just go and let's remind ourselves quickly about this.
Lasst uns da
Let's go to Daniel 11.
in Daniel 11 uns darüber reden.
Let's read verse 5 down to verse 6.
Wir lesen die Verse 5 und 6.
Because this is now when the kingdom of Alexander was divided into these 4 parts, and you had a king of the north and you had a king of the south. Right?
Das markiert der Zeit, wo dieses Königreich von Alexander in 4 geteilt worden ist und du hast einen König des Nordens und einen König des Südens, die daraus entstanden ist.
Okay. And the northern king was called Antiochus,
Und der Nordkönig war Antiochos,
at least in verse 6.
zumindest im Vers 6 war es Antiochos.
And the southern king was called Ptolemy. Okay.
Und der Südkönig war Ptolemy.
N?
N, yeah, and for the T.
Anti.
Ah.
A-N.
Thank you. I think it's hopefully correct.
But it's not written in the verse, right?
No, the name you don't find. You find
History.
only king of the north and king of the south mentioned. Okay. But historically, these were the 2 kings. Okay.
Aber historischerweise, die waren die 2 Könige. In der Bibel ist es nur Nord und Süd.
Okay. So at least in verse 6.
Zumindest
Okay.
im Vers 6.
So maybe let me just give you some more precise names. It was Ptolemy Philadelphus,
Das war Ptolemy Philadelphos,
and Antiochus Theos.
und Antiochos Theos.
Because Antiochus and Ptolemy were just like you know these titles,
So, Antiochos und Ptolemy, das waren letztendlich nur Titel.
like
Caesar.
Caesar or Karl der Große,
So wie
Karl.
Caesar oder Karl der Große zum Beispiel. Das war nur ein Titel.
Charlemagne or whatever. Okay. So, and then obviously these second names they always determine which Ptolemy or which Antiochus it was.
Natürlich diese Zweitnamen bestimmen, welche von den Antiochus es war oder der Ptolemy es war. Und
Okay.
so weiter.
So let us just read now verse 5 and 6.
So die Verse 5 und 6 jetzt.
And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. So here are basically, here's the king of the south mentioned,
So hier ist der König des Südens erwähnt,
which was strong,
der stark war.
but then there was another of Alexander's princes who was even stronger than the king of the south.
Aber dann gab es ein weiteres Prinz, also von Alexander, der stärker war als die des Südens.
Okay, and this was basically the northern one.
Und das war der Nordkönig.
Okay, back then it was Seleucus, but yeah. Antiochus was his grandson. Okay.
Also, damals war es Seleucus, aber Antiochus ist sein Enkel.
Okay, now let's go to verse 6.
Vers 6.
And in the end of years they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. So what did the north and the south do?
So, was taten Norden und Süden?
Yes, they made an agreement, right?
Sie haben eine Vereinbarung getroffen.
So in order to do what?
Um was zu tun?
join themselves together.
Yes, so they make peace, right?
Sie schließen Frieden.
So this is what we looked at last time. So right here, at this little time of peace,
Das haben wir letztens angeschaut, dass gerade hier zur Zeit des Friedens,
what will the Democrats and the Republicans do?
was werden die Demokraten und Republikaner tun?
Agreement.
Yes, and make an agreement, okay?
Eine Vereinbarung treffen.
So they will stop this fight with each other,
Sie
okay?
werden diesen Kampf miteinander ein Ende machen.
Because at 9/11, what coalition did they do?
Denn im 11. September, welchen Zusammenschluss haben sie gemacht?
Against Islam.
Yes, they had now another common enemy, radical Islam, okay?
Also sie hatten einen gemeinsamen Feind plötzlich und das war das radikale Islam.
So in this sense, they will come together again, they make an agreement, and they now will oppose radical Islam, okay?
In diesem Sinne, sie werden wieder hier zusammenkommen, sie werden einen Zusammenschluss machen und den radikalen Islam widerstehen.
Okay, and it says here, right, in verse 6,
In Vers 6 sagt es,
and in the end of days they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. So, who came to whom?
so wer kam zu wem?
Die Tochter des
Yes,
Südens
the
nach Norden.
southern daughter, right, came now to make a marriage with him.
Die
Right.
Tochter des Südens kam, um eine Hochzeit mit dem Norden zu machen.
And who was the daughter of the south
Und
again?
wer war Tochter des Südens? Bernice.
Was Berenice, right?
Das war Bernice.
But what was the problem with the northern king, Antiochus?
Also was war das Problem mit dem Nordkönig?
Yes, he was already married,
Er
right?
war bereits
And
verheiratet.
who was his wife?
Und wer war seine Frau?
Laodice.
Laodice.
So, and this was this woman controlling this king. Right?
Und Laodice, das war diese Frau, die diese König kontrollierte.
So who's therefore, when this was the northern woman, who's therefore this woman?
So Laodice, wenn sie die Nordfrau ist, wer ist sie? Jezebel.
Jezebel.
Yes, Jezebel, right?
Isabel.
So she's the papacy. Right?
Sie ist der Papst.
Okay, but in order that this peace now could come,
Aber so, dass dieses Friedensschluss gemacht werden konnte,
yes, right? So Laodice had to be put away.
Laodice muss vergessen werden, also sie muss weggetan werden.
So where on the line is the woman forgotten?
So, wo auf unserer Linie ist die Frau vergessen?
Yes, right
Here.
here and here also in measure, right?
Also hier, aber wir können das auch im Maßen hier sehen.
So therefore the woman is here forgotten for, as Brother Mark mentioned already, for 70 years,
Die
right?
Frau wird für 70 Jahre vergessen.
Yes, right, yeah, woman forgotten, right?
So, Frau vergessen.
So, and now this peace treaty can be put in place.
Und jetzt dieses Friedensbund kann gemacht werden.
And we looked at this last time, so in this time here, when there's trouble, Laodice reigns.
So in dieser Zeit, wo es Trübsal gibt, Laodice ist in der Regentschaft.
But when there's peace, Berenice is ruling, right?
Aber wenn es Frieden gibt, dann Bernice herrscht.
But what happened after a while
Also was
with
geschah?
Laodice?
Was geschah nach einer Weile? King went back to his old flame.
Yes,
Her
exactly.
husband, Bernice, and all the people.
Yes, so Antiochus called her back to the court.
So Antiochus hat sie Laodice zurückgerufen zu der Königshof.
And
She left.
She was kicked out.
Ah, she was kicked out.
and what did Laodice then do?
Und was tat sie denn? She killed Bernice and then Antiochus.
Yes, right. She killed Berenice and all her children, yes, and everybody who was affiliated with Berenice.
Sie hat Bernice umgebracht und all ihre Mägde und Kinder und alle, die zu sie gehört.
And she also killed Antiochus.
Und sie hat auch dann die Antiochus vergiftet.
Yes.
It says,
One second. So therefore, yeah, the woman is again remembered here by Antiochus.
So, deswegen die Frau wird hier von Antiochos wieder in Erinnerung gebracht.
Laodice begins again her rule.
Und Laodice fängt wieder ihre Regentschaft hier.
And it's with what?
Und es ist mit was?
What did she do?
Was tat sie?
Death decree.
Yes, death decree.
Mit
Right?
Tod. Also Tod ist der Krieg.
Kills them.
She has to
Tötet.
pluck up 3.
Mhm.
So I'm saying, when you look at the story, you have to see 3
Mhm.
there. It says to be 3 that she's killing.
So, es
Ja.
muss 3 sein, dass sie umbringt. Weil Laodice muss 3
Because
geografische Regionen
It's the same
und die
story.
3
It's,
Hörner.
it's marking the 4th. The 4th has to pluck up 3 horns. And a horn is a power.
Vierte muss 4 Hörner, die vierte muss 3 Hörner aufpflücken und ein Horn ist eine Kraft.
So, somehow in that story there, you have
Yes,
to.
I mean it says it here in verse 6, right?
Sagt es hier in Vers
That's what I
6.
thought as well, right? So it says the.
But yes, go ahead.
You read it, see if it's the same thing I'm saying, but
Okay. It says so. Let's just begin in the beginning. So
So, Vers 6.
and in the end of years they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his arm. But she, Berenice, right, shall be given up. So that's 1.
Bernice wird aufgegeben, das ist 1.
And they that brought her, that's 2.
Diejenigen, die sie gebracht hat, das wäre 2.
And he that begat her, that's 3.
Und derjenige, der sie heiratete, das ist 3.
And he that strengthened her in these times is 4. Okay. So
Derjenige, der sie stärkte in dieser Zeit, werden 4.
but it's she
But-
that she that
Mhm.
she that they that brought her is not all the same one. That's what I would have thought.
yes.
She shall be given up, and they that brought her is 1. He that begat her is 2, and he that strengthened her in these times is 3. That's
Also
3
sie und
different
diejenigen,
groups
die
of
sie
people.
gebracht hat, wäre 1. Derjenige, der heiratet, 2. Und der sie gestärkt hat in diesen Zeiten, wäre dann 3.
But that might not be so, but that's how I would look at that.
Also das mag vielleicht nicht sein, aber so sehe ich das.
When it says he that begat her, what does it mean? I don't understand English.
That's the one that married, he that married her, because
Okay.
it says he shall not stand, that's him that begat her.
Yes.
No.
No.
The pioneer explained that is the son
Yes. Whom she brought
Her
forth in the
son.
margin.
of, although they thought
Alright,
at the beginning that was the father, but the father was left in Egypt, so it was a possible son of.
okay.
All the pioneers explained that is the son.
Yes.
Actually.
I mean, Uriah Smith says because there's a margin. He uses the margin reading whom she brought forth, so it refers to the son. He says.
Yeah.
Also Uriah Smith benutzt so den Nebenbemerkung, also wenn sie hervorgebracht hat, das werde dann ihr Sohn sein.
So she shall be given up 1. They
Sie
that
wird aufgegeben, das wäre
brought
1.
her 2.
Diejenigen, die sie gebracht hat, 2.
He that she or whom she brought forth 3.
Derjenige, der sie hervorgebracht hat, ihr Sohn, 3.
And he that strengthened her in these times would be 4.
Derjenige, der sie in diese Zeiten gestärkt hat, wäre 4.
Okay.
Bei mir steht, das steht, wie geboren hat.
Ja, genau. Ja. That's also the marginal reading here in the King James. Okay. So, but let me just quickly check what Uriah Smith wrote here.
So, lass mich mal schnell schauen, was Uriah Smith darüber sagt.
250. DRR 250.
Ja. Yeah, the problem is here in this version it's somehow this particular portion is cut out for whatever reason. Okay, it doesn't matter, we can look it up later.
Also wir können das später aufsuchen.
That's also, but it might be valid, maybe it will be 3, maybe it's 4, we will just then see.
Aber das mag gültig sein, vielleicht ist es 3, vielleicht 4, wir werden sehen.
It's going to be this year.
Okay,
Also es muss dasselbe sein.
yes. Okay, so, but Laodice, now she rules here when she makes this death decree, right, when she kills everybody.
Aber Laodice, sie regiert hier wieder, wenn sie dieses Todesdekret macht und alle umbringt.
Okay. So, and this just shows us that here, the Democrats and the Republicans, they will try to make this peace treaty.
Das
Okay.
zeigt uns, dass gerade hier diese Demokraten und Republikaner werden versuchen, diesen Friedensbund zu schließen.
So, I don't fully understand yet who Berenice illustrates.
Also
Okay.
ich verstehe nicht völlig jetzt an dieser Stelle, wer Bernice darstellt.
But she's coming from the south, so it's a southern doctrine.
Also
Okay.
sie kommt aber vom Süden, also es ist eine Lehre des Südens.
So somehow Trump might somehow accept some southern principles there for a while. Okay.
So, es kann sein, dass Trump hier irgendwelchen Prinzipien des Südens akzeptiert für eine Weile.
Okay. So, okay. But that's actually not the focus of my study. This was just a short recap. Okay. Of
Aber das
what we
ist
looked at
nicht
last
der Inhalt meines Studiums, das war nur eine schnelle Wiederholung.
Because actually, what I want to get to is now to these 4 kings. Okay.
Aber wozu ich hinkommen wollte, war zu diesen 4 Könige.
Okay. So let's go to Daniel chapter 1 and 2.
So lass uns zu Daniel Kapitel 1 und 2 gehen.
Sorry, Daniel 11 verse 1 and 2.
Also Daniel 11, Verse 1 und 2. Sorry.
It says, "Also I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia." Okay, so according to verse 2, how many kings stand up here?
So gemäß Vers 2, wie viele Könige kommen auf?
3 plus 1.
3 plus 1,
So 4.
4.
And who were these kings historically?
Und historisch, wer waren diese Könige?
So who was the successor of Cyrus?
So
Wer war der Nachfolger von Kyros?
I remember his name.
Cambyses.
So
Right?
Cambyses.
I don't know exactly how to spell him.
Y
It's,
S
something like this.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's it. Cambyses.
Okay. And then after Cambyses, who came?
Und danach kam Byzis, wer kam?
Yes, false murders. Right?
Falsche Schmerdes.
And then
Und dann,
yes, Darius the Persian, right?
also Darius, der Perser,
Who made the second decree.
der hat den 2. Dekret erlassen.
And then who was the 4th?
Und das 4.
Xerxes, right?
Xerxes der Große.
Or Ahasveros from the book of Esther.
Oder Ahasverus von das Buch Esther.
Okay. So I write in parentheses Esther.
Ich schreibe auch Esther dazu.
Alright. So and this was the one who was the richest of them all. Right?
Und der hier war derjenige, der reicher als alle anderen
He
war.
also makes the decree.
Und
Yes.
der machte auch das Dekret,
Which decree exactly?
Sunday law.
das Sonntagsgesetz.
It's just the same when you do the
Yes.
pattern, if you follow down to Daniel 7, the 4th, the midnight cry makes the death decree.
Yes.
That's what he
Yeah.
does.
The death decree, yes. Okay, so because it says here, how are they called here in verse 2?
Vers 2, wie werden sie genannt?
They're called kings, right?
Sie werden Könige genannt.
Okay, so let's just keep your finger here.
Haltet den Platz hier
Let's go to Daniel 7.
und lasst uns zu Daniel 7 gehen.
In 7 and then verse 17.
Daniel 7, Vers 17.
It says, "These great beasts which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth." Okay, so the 4 beasts are what?
Die 4 Tiere sind was?
Are 4 kings,
4
right?
Könige.
And they all arise out of the earth.
Und die
Right.
kommen alle aus der Erde.
And we already showed the 4 beasts are how many kingdoms?
Und wir haben bereits gezeigt, die 4 Tiere sind wie viele Königreiche?
One king. Okay.
Ein.
Medo-Persian kingdom.
Yes.
Der Medo-Persisches Reich.
And these 4 kings were kings of how many kingdoms?
Und diese 4 Könige waren Könige von wie viele Königreiche?
One kingdom, right? The
Ein
Medo-Persian
Königreich.
kingdom.
Das Medo-Persische Königreich.
Okay, so I could also write then here.
So, ich konnte dann hier auch schreiben.
You can't do it. You can't do it like as
Hmm?
Oh no, in fact, no, sorry, because it's smaller.
And write here then Cambyses, right?
Hier kann ich Cambyses schreiben.
As a parallel to the first beast, which is the first king.
So parallel mit diesem ersten Tier, was der erste König ist.
Then false Smerdis,
Falsche Schmerdis.
which is the second king.
Der zweite König.
And then
No, you can't do that. You're stealing my thunder. This was my point, right? It's a smaller fractal. Oh, the 3 have to be in that first one there, and the 4th before that leopard.
can you repeat this?
When you look, go to Daniel 11, it's the same, right? Because you got
3
to
and 1.
follow the same pattern. I wanted to get to this, but I never got it, right?
Mhm.
Because of other things. So when you go to the story, just go to verse 3.
So in der Geschichte Daniel 11 geht zu Vers 3.
A mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion. That's that leopard right there,
Alexander.
right? So it's like when you take this big fractal at the top, right? You've got the 4 kings going all the way down. But when you come to the smaller one, this like here, what Lawrence? No, don't look where the one above. Just the Sunday law, the final review. Yes, there's the 4, right?
Yes.
But you come down to a smaller fractal now. The 4 are in that again. Yes, so there'll be the same pattern as above, the first 3, then the 4th. And I'll show you why, because the 4th comes before that leopard comes. Right? Because in Revelation 17, that's the 10 kings that rise up against the 4th. You get what I mean? They eat our flesh and burn with fire. It comes right at the end. So you have the 3, Cambyses, false Smerdis, what was the third one again? Darius, then Xerxes, right? So Xerxes is this 4th that's in this bit from the minute then the leopard comes. It's the same as what's above, exactly.
So I must think these things through. Okay, then I will just parallel them in here.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
But the one below.
Why would it be in the middle of fractal then?
Because look at Daniel 11.
No, I'm asking why
It's the
would
same, because it's the same story.
what I asked is the 4th kingdom, right? Which is this.
It's not the 4th kingdom, it's one kingdom.
It's the 4th piece.
Yes.
It's not the 4th beast. The 4th beast is up there, is Rome, and the fractal above. This is different. It's a smaller fractal, because the 3rd one there is a mighty king shall stand up, shall rule with great dominion. That's that one right there. So it has to be before it. Got to follow the pattern.
What I'm asking is then, why would we apply this truth in the middle fractal if the death decree doesn't come to the midnight cry? That's one.
Yes. That was also my question.
Would it then not only apply to the fractal above?
The death decree doesn't come till the midnight cry.
Because there's a death decree at the Sunday law, but it's implemented or
Yes.
used at the midnight cry. So why would we then use the symbol of the death decree in the middle fractal?
Well, I
At
don't
the
know.
way up between Sunday law and
I
midnight.
don't know that we have to use the symbol of the death decree there. I mean, it's just a symbol, but I'm just showing you, I'm just telling you, that's the pattern right there.
No, what I'm not speaking about, because this 4th that is richer than the all is the last emperor, right?
Yes.
It's the last ruler. Why would we mark that in the middle way mark between Sunday law and midnight?
Yes.
Because that's where the leopard is, that's why. I don't, that's the only answer I can give you. I'm just going by the pattern right there. It's in verse 3. where are you going to stick that now? You're just going to conjure that up and stick it somewhere else? You have to have it.
No,
You have to
I would just use the fractal above, that's where it is. The last emperor comes up at the midnight cry. That's when they rise up against him.
Okay.
That's what I'm at, because why would I stick the last emperor now there and then say, but it's going to repeat at the midnight cry again, which wouldn't really make sense. That
Okay,
is
so-
only this and
Okay, so if I understand you rightly, you're saying you take the 4 kings and parallel it with those 4 at the top,
yes,
and then Revelation 17:16 would be the verse 3.
17:16 is where they rise up and burn up.
Yes, because it has to be there, right? That's my argument, but that's okay, I get that, I get the argument you're making. I didn't think about the death decree, I was just following the pattern.
But the parent also has to agree with, it has to teach us something, so in this case, the last emperor, I wouldn't know how to
Yes.
prove that.
I get that point, it's valid argument.
Okay, so let us then first
Put it on the
mark
above-
this.
above the lines.
Okay, we'll just put it here, then fine for now. Okay, so Cambyses,
So zuerst Cambyses,
then
falsche Schmerdes,
Sardis, then Darius,
Darius
and then you have
Xerxes.
Xerxes.
und dann Xerxes.
Alright,
So,
yes. Okay, so, but now we can come to our notes.
aber jetzt können wir zu unseren Notizen aufschlagen.
Let's go, we will begin in Daniel 11 verse 16.
Und wir fangen in Daniel 11, Vers 16 an.
Okay, and before we read these notes, I just want to give a short or brief summary of these verses leading up to verse 16.
Und bevor wir diesen Versen lesen, ich möchte eine Zusammenfassung von den vorherigen Versen aufzählen.
Because in the verses before you always have this fight between the north and the south.
In den vorherigen Versen gibt es diesen andauernd angehende Krieg zwischen Norden und Süden.
And it's always this fight between these different
Antiochus.
Yes. Antiochuses. Okay.
Also es ist immer diesen Krieg zwischen diese verschiedenen Antiochusse und diese verschiedenen Ptolemies.
Ptolemies. Yes. Alright. Okay. And this eventually leads you down to verse 16 where now Rome appears.
Und das führt uns bis Vers 16, wo Rom auf die Bühne tritt.
Okay, and it says now in verse
Und
16,
in Vers 16 sagt es,
but he that cometh against him, against the Antiochus here, against the north,
aber derjenige, der gegen Antiochus kommt, gegen den Nordkönig,
and this was Rome. Now Rome comes against Antiochus.
das
Okay?
war heidnisches Rom, kam gegen Antiochus auf.
So, but he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. Okay, so this is now pagan Rome coming up,
So heidnisches Rom kommt hier herauf.
and they will also stand in the glorious land, which was Palestine or Israel back then. Okay.
Und sie werden auch im herrlichen Land stehen, was damals in der Geschichte Palästina oder Israel.
Okay, let's read now here the first 2 paragraphs.
Und jetzt in den Notizen der ersten 2 Absätze lesen wir.
And actually, it's enough to just read the first paragraph. Okay.
Und es reicht aus, der erste Absatz zu lesen.
It says, although Egypt could not stand before Antiochus, the king of the north, Antiochus could not stand before the Romans, who now came against him. No kingdoms were longer able to resist this rising power. Syria was conquered and added to the Roman Empire when Pompey, BC 65, deprived Antiochus Asiaticus of his possessions and reduced Syria to a Roman province. Okay, so who came here against now Syria, the Syrian kings?
So wer kam
Against
gegen der syrische Königin hier auf?
Pompey, right?
Pompey.
Yes, everybody sees this?
Kann alle das sehen?
Yes? Okay. So Pompey is the first Roman king. I mean, he was not official king, but he was in the role of a king back then.
So, Pompey war der erste offizielle König, also der war kein König, aber der spielte die Rolle eines Königs,
Who's mentioned in Daniel 11.
der in Daniel 11 erwähnt wird.
Okay, so you have Pompey.
Hier haben wir Pompey.
Okay, and I want to show you now that you also have 4 Roman kings.
Und
Okay,
ich möchte zeigen, dass es gibt auch 4 römische Könige.
and they're basically a parallel then to these 4 Medo-Persian kings. Okay.
Und die sind eine Parallel zu diesen 4 medo-persische Könige.
Okay, and we will not read all this what I shared here with you. That would be way too much, but we will just jump many things.
Und wir werden nicht alles lesen, was wir hier in den Notizen haben, das wäre ja zu viel, aber wir werden hin und her springen.
Okay, so in verse 16 Pompey is mentioned.
So
Okay,
Vers 16, Pompey wird erwähnt.
now verse 17.
Vers 17.
He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of this whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. Okay, so now let's read here what Uriah Smith wrote under verse 17.
Lasst uns hier lesen, was Uriah Smith über Vers 17 zu schreiben hat.
Okay, let's read the bold-faced here in this paragraph.
Und wir lesen das fettgedruckt.
Everybody there?
Jeder da?
It's in the bottom of page 1 in the notes.
Und auf Seite 1.
Ramak, you want to read this, please?
Yes, it says, Bishop Newton furnishes another reading for this verse, which seems more clearly to express the sense as follows. He shall also set his face to enter by force the whole kingdom. Brought us down to the conquest of Syria and Judea by the Romans. Rome had previously conquered Macedon and Thrace. Egypt was now all that remained of the whole kingdom of Alexander, not brought into subjection to the Roman power, which power now set its face to enter by force into that country.
Okay, so basically now Rome wants to also conquer Egypt.
So,
Okay.
jetzt Rom möchte auch Ägypten erobern.
Okay, in Pompey, in the next paragraph is mentioned that he was an appointed guardian over the young rulers of Egypt. Okay.
Und in dem nächsten Absatz es erzählt uns, dass Pompey war über den jungen Herrschern als Aufsichter gestellt. Den jungen Herrscher Ägyptens als Beaufsichtigter gestellt.
Okay.
Aufseher.
Okay. And now let's jump down to the next paragraph,
Und jetzt der
beginning
nächste
with a quarrel.
Absatz, der fängt an mit einem Streit.
A quarrel, yes. Okay, it says, a quarrel having not long after broken out between Pompey and Caesar, the famous battle of Pharsalia was fought between the 2 generals. Pompey, being defeated, fled into Egypt. Caesar immediately followed him thither, but before his arrival, Pompey was basely murdered by Ptolemy, whose guardian he had been appointed. Caesar therefore assumed the appointment which had been given to Pompey as guardian of Ptolemy and Cleopatra. So, who defeated Pompey and took his office?
So, wer hat Pompey besiegt und sein Amt übernommen?
Caesar, right?
Das war Caesar,
Or better known as Julius Caesar. Okay?
besser bekannt als Julius Caesar.
Everybody who knows Asterix and Obelix knows Julius Caesar, right? Alright, let's start this.
Lucas 2 is also written about it.
No.
No?
Look to Caesar Augustus.
Ah, okay.
We spell Caesar. So this is how he writes it. Okay. So Julius Caesar, and he now basically conquered Egypt. Okay.
Julius Caesar hat Ägypten erobert.
But it was not reduced to a province under his rule. Okay. But he basically
He
conquered.
became a protectorate.
Yes. Yes.
Also es ist nicht so nur eine Region reduziert worden unter seiner Regentschaft, aber der hat da angefangen.
Yes. Okay. So now let's go and jump down to verse 18.
So jetzt unter den Vers 18.
Okay. Now let's read verse 18. It says, "After this shall he return his face. After this shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take him many. But a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach he shall cause it to turn upon him." So there, basically, it still speaks about Caesar. Okay.
So spricht immer noch über Caesar.
And now let's jump down to verse 19.
Und jetzt Vers 19.
"Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found." So what happens here to Caesar?
So was geschieht hier mit Caesar?
Stumbles and falls, and we know he got daggered, right?
Also
And
wir
killed.
wissen, dass umgebracht worden ist. Der ist mit einem Messer
Dolched.
gedolcht.
Okay, so we can also jump over this. And now verse 20.
Und jetzt Vers 20.
It says, "Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, but within a few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle." Okay, so in place of Caesar, Julius Caesar, comes up now a raiser of taxes.
So in der Platz von Julius Caesar kommt derjenige, der den Steuern erhöht.
Okay, now let's go to what Uriah Smith writes here,
Und wir schauen, was Uriah Smith darüber zu sagen hat.
under verse 20.
Unter Vers 20.
Here it says, "Augustus Caesar succeeded his uncle Julius, by whom he had been adopted as his successor." Okay, so who succeeded him?
So, wer ist ihm nachgekommen?
Yes, Augustus Caesar. Okay.
Augustus Caesar.
And he was then this raiser of taxes.
Und
Okay.
er war diesen Steuererhöher.
Just keep your finger here. Let's go quickly to Luke 2, just to remind ourselves.
So, haltet den Platz hier, geht zum Lukas 2.
And let's read verse 1.
Vers 1.
And this is now the story of the birth of Jesus. Right?
Das ist die Geschichte vom Geburt Jesus.
Okay, so because his parents had to come to Bethlehem because they had to be enrolled for these taxes.
Weil seine Eltern mussten nach Bethlehem kommen, weil sie mussten sich melden wegen diesen Steuern.
Okay, so Luke 2 verse 1.
Lukas 2, Vers 1.
"And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed." Right? So this is now Caesar Augustus taxing the whole world.
Caesar Augustus, der die ganze Welt versteuert.
Okay. So let's go back to Daniel 11.
Zurück zu Daniel 11.
And now let's go to verse 21 and 22, but we will read verse 21 for now.
Die Verse 21 und 22, aber vorerst tue ich Vers 21.
Okay. It says, "And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries." Okay? So, the successor of Caesar Augustus was Tiberius, yes. Okay.
Der Nachfolger von Augustus Caesar war Tiberius.
And he's considered a vile person. Okay?
Und er ist als ein widerlicher Mensch erkannt.
Okay. And we'll come to this shortly again, let's just read verse 22. What happens under his reign?
Und wir lesen vorerst unter Vers 22, was unter seiner Regentschaft geschieht.
It says, and with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. So who's the prince of the covenant?
So
that
wer
gets
ist der
broken? Yes,
Prinz
Jesus.
des
Right?
Bündnisses? Das ist Christus.
So, and how did he get broken?
Und wie war er gebrochen?
Yes, the cross.
Am
Right?
Kreuz.
Okay, so where do we mark the cross on our line?
So, wo markieren wir das Kreuz auf unserer Linie?
In the cry.
Und dann
Okay.
wird der Nachschub.
So this is when this fourth, right, comes
Also das ist, wenn dieser vierte aufkommt
with a death decree,
mit der
okay,
Todesdekret
and kills Christ.
und tötet Christus.
Okay, so and therefore, what can we do?
So deswegen, was können wir hier tun?
Yeah, we can now parallel also these 4 Roman kings
So wir können diesen 4 römische Könige
with these 4 Medo-Persian kings.
parallel stellen mit diesen 4 medo-persische Könige.
Yes.
Also Xerxes, der ist ein widerlicher Mensch.
So
He's parallel to it.
Also parallel damit.
Tiberius, okay,
Also Tiberius Caesar,
and here you have
Augustus.
Augustus. Here you have
Julius.
And in the beginning you have
Pompey.
and before that here you have, they're all under the Medo-Persian kingdom, one
Die
kingdom,
sind alle
Okay.
unter Medo-Persien, also ein Königreich.
and here they're all under Rome, pagan Rome,
Hier sind
right?
sie alle
One
unter
kingdom.
heidnischer Rom, ein Königreich.
Okay, so it's Pompey. Okay, so and he is a vile person and he's this rich guy, right?
Also der hier ist ein widerlicher Mensch und der ist dieser reiche Mensch.
And it says here about Tiberius that shall not, the honor of the kingdom shall not be given him. Okay,
Und es sagt hier über Tiberius, dass der Ehre der Königreich wird ihm nicht gegeben.
and Uriah Smith says people didn't really like him.
Und
Okay.
Uriah Smith sagt, das Volksmasse haben ihn nicht wirklich gemocht.
Okay, so we can see basically Donald Trump is like a somehow literal fulfillment of this, right?
Wir können sehen, dass Donald Trump eine tatsächliche Erfüllung all diese Merkmale ist.
He's typifying this last emperor here.
Also er typifiziert diese letzte Imperator hier.
He's richer than they all.
Er ist reicher als sie alle,
He's a vile person, right?
er ist ein widerlicher Mensch
And he is like not really likened by many of his subjects.
und
Okay.
er ist nicht wirklich gemocht von vielen von seinen Untertanen.
Okay. So, all right. But what does it say here in verse 21? What about this 4th king?
Und was sagt es hier im Vers 21? Was ist mit dieser 4. König?
It says here, how does he come up?
Wie kommt er herauf?
Peaceably. Right?
Also friedlich.
And we saw, right, what happens here with the 4th kingdom.
Und wir haben gesehen, was geschieht hier mit der 4. Königreich.
Where does it come up?
Wo kommt es herauf? Es allein.
Yes, right. Comes up in the time of peace.
So kommt
Okay.
in eine Zeit des Friedens herauf,
And then it starts war.
aber
Right?
dann fängt es Krieg an.
So, and this is also what Tiberius did.
Und das ist das, was Tiberius tat.
It says here, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. So that's this time of peace.
So Zeit des Friedens.
But then it says, and with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. That's now the time of trouble when he now puts in here this death decree, right?
Das ist diese Zeit des Trübsals, wo er diesen Todesdekret erlässt.
And when with his arms he now shall overflow all these others. Okay.
Mit seiner Armeen, er wird alle anderen überwältigen.
Yes?
Amen.
Can everybody see this?
Kann jeder das sehen?
Amen or not?
Amen. Amen.
Okay, good. So, I see that everybody seems to be tired. Okay. But we can also come to a close now.
Aber wir können jetzt zum Abschluss kommen.
And next time we will just continue with these other verses that come after that.
Und nächstes Mal werden wir noch weiter fortfahren mit diesen Versen, die danach kommen.
And yeah. So what we could see therefore this evening
So heute Abend, was wir sehen konnten,
is basically these four kings in Medo-Persia parallel to these four kings in pagan Rome.
also diese 4 Könige von Medo-Persien, parallel zu diese 4 Könige von heidnischen Rom.
They also parallel to these four beasts of Daniel 7.
Und die sind auch parallel zu diese 4 Tiere von Daniel 7.
And and we saw already that this fourth comes up peacefully.
Wir
Okay.
haben gesehen, dass diese 4. kommt friedlich herauf.
And we also saw this peace treaty between here the north and the south when Berenice comes.
Und wir haben gesehen, diese Friedensbund, die geschlossen worden ist zwischen Norden und Süden, wenn Bernice aufkommt.
And when you go through Daniel 11, you find quite many times of pieces there also mentioned.
Und wenn du
Okay.
durch Daniel 11 gehst, du kannst viele Male Zeiten des Friedens erkennen.
And when we go through the next verses, we will also see this more clearly. Okay.
Wenn wir nächstes Mal durch die anderen Versen gehen, wir werden das klarer sehen.
And therefore we can also understand right here the Democrats and the Republicans, they will make a peace treaty.
Und wenn wir sehen, dass hier die Demokraten und Republikaner einen Friedensbund schließen werden,
But Laodice comes back.
aber Laodice wird wieder aufkommen.
Okay. So I hope that you could follow along and that you will keep this in mind, because then we can build upon this.
So, ich hoffe, ihr konntet mitfolgen und dass ihr diese Dinge im Gedanken behalten. Denn das nächste Mal können wir dann darauf bauen.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Then let's close with our prayer.
Und lasst uns mit unserer Gebetsrunde abschließen.